This is how I see it. A Voice in the Dark production by Lori Elliots. We do not consent. We claim sovereignty. Things I think about. 9/17/23. Well, it's been a year so far, hasn't it? All the absurdities, and it's getting more like a three-ring circus at a monkey fair than it is anything else. Look. We don't have to put up with this crap. All we got to do is stand up. Anyway, focus on the positive best you can. But what I want to tell you is I've gone the gambit, and I've been here a long time. I've been many lifetimes. And this is how I see it. You were created just as you were. We're each very unique. Very unique. And we each have inner callings that we usually ignore, make a hobby of it or something here and there. But what I'm going to tell you is the most important thing is to follow that feeling, that calling, and be who you are, your most individual, unique self. That's what we came here for. God didn't make us all different if He didn't want us to express ourselves exactly as He made us. With the personality we have for this lifetime, we'll have a different one next lifetime, but we will carry the same soul signature. So what I'm saying is part of that personality is you. And that's how God wants to experience life with you, through you, with you. So be you. Be your unique, authentic self. God doesn't give a damn what you speak like, what you dress like, or what you act like, as long as you're not hurting anyone and that your heart is pure. And most of all, the biggest thing is He doesn't want you hurting yourselves. So don't overdo it. Don't get caught up in drugs and alcohol like it's I can do this every night of the week and then give it up later. Don't do that. You do everything in moderation. There's a reason for that term. Do it in moderation and enjoy it for what it is for the moment, and then move on. And if you do get caught up in something, give yourself, that pat on the back and say, hey, we don't need this right now. Let's go do something else. Just learn to love yourself more than anything. Stand up for yourself. Love yourself. Don't be arrogant. Don't be cocky. And sure, don't be bitter bitch or bastard. If you're bitter, you got some inside shadow work to do. You've got some fears and insecurities. They could be carryovers from past lives. It could be a plethora of things. So don't be afraid to face it. Don't be afraid to look at it. Get a good hypnotherapist and a therapist, but a good hypnotherapist that is used to doing past life work and alien abductions and all that, so that you get somebody that isn't going to freak out when they take you down and ask you a question and don't know how to ask the question correctly. I've been through that one. But He didn't make us all different to not be different. And we come here for many lifetimes. We cycle many lifetimes here. And it's to experience all this stuff, and it includes pain. It includes the pain to understand how it feels, because as a soul in where you're from, the higher realms, you don't feel that. You don't experience it. You have to come down here on Earth, third dimension, and feel it. So that's why I always say hypno-meditation, because you observe whatever the experience was as a third party, as an observer, which is more your soul. And you're not affected by the pain anymore like you were. And once you acknowledge it, know where it came from, it goes away and you don't have to experience it anymore. It's a healing. It's a true healing. So healing does not have to be all that hard. You can heal your body. You just tell your body, I'm be healed. And it will work day and night, straightening that out for you. And then the pain and the emotional stuff needs to be done with a therapist. But I recommend a hypnotherapist because, like I said, third party, it's like seeing it as a third party. You observe it. Hypnosis doesn't make you do anything you wouldn't do if you were stone cold sober. So don't worry about that part. And but get to the bottom of it. Get healed as young and as fast as you can, because you got a whole life to go. And then, as you go through these experiences and you get through these cycles quicker, woo! Wow, are you going to have fun? So learn to meditate. Learn to love yourself. But most of all, be you. It's okay to be you. Don't let anybody take that from you. Whatever you got to do, well, to be gentle and kind with yourself, and to know that usually when people are giving you crap and they're screaming at you or they're putting you down or they're just making life miserable around them and it affects you, know that it's them, not you. And it gets very difficult the longer we go not healing from something, especially childhood wounds. We tend to attract more of that kind of abuse into our lives. And I don't care how hard you try, until you face it, you'll keep attracting it in. So get busy facing it. And get busy meditating so you can get centered with your own personal self and chase your dreams. Dream big and go for it. You're going to fall down a few times. That's just the way it goes. And but find a way to live that makes you happy. We're not meant to live in boxes. We're not meant to be hell, I don't even know what you'd call it, but we're not supposed to be in boxes. We are sovereign souls. We are immortal. We are creative geniuses. So create. This world has to give you exactly what you want. But you got to know what you want, and you got to know deep down inside what you want. And if you're worthy. And if you value yourself. So get to know yourself before you throw yourself into a marriage and a lot of kids and all that. There's nothing wrong with all of that. There is, however, if you don't take a year or two just to find yourself and who you really are and spend that time alone, you'll never know. And then life takes you up and you start going crazy and, you forget about you because you got other responsibilities. It happens. And there's nothing wrong with it, but if you know who you are and what you are, you keep that incorporated with your everyday life. And it's better and easier to raise your children when you're coming from a centered spot. And life overall becomes easy and beautiful. And yes, it's going to have ups and it's going to have downs. It's going to have crazy and it's going to have boring. But that's when you turn to that inner self. Say, what would make me happy today since, everything out there has got me, Well, women usually turn to rearranging the furniture in the house. And men rearrange everything outside of the house. And that's how you know when things are a little... not so sure on the footing there, but at least I can change the inside of my reality and, I'll feel a little better that I can control something. So there's going to be moments you're going to feel like you can't control anything in the outer world, but you can control how you allow it to affect you and your life. So take the time. Take the time and never hesitate to ask the universe, source, God, however, goddess, however you want to call it, the almighty great mind, the highest mind. But ask and make that a personal relationship between you and God. I guarantee you'll get an answer. It'll come in the form of a song on the radio or a billboard or something you read and pick up on a paper or see a sign somewhere, or you'll hear somebody talking, or somebody will actually talk to you. But it will come to you, the answer, and you will know what it is and where it came from. And the universe is waiting, just waiting for you to start asking for help. For help, for guidance, for things, It's ready to bring you anything you want. You just have to believe. And you can't believe unless you start practicing it. Playing with it. Play with the universe. I call this the playground of the gods. Learning how to play in a way that they've never had to do before. So, play and get to know your inner self. And you have rights, and you have a right to stand up for those rights. And you have a right to be heard and a right to be seen. But don't forget that that's everybody's rights. Everybody has a right to be seen and heard. So remember that those gifts that are given to you are also given to the whole world, to all of humanity. So the best way to get them and feel them is by giving gratitude and giving to each other, sharing, helping each other, and encouraging each other, uplifting each other. I get mad at my kids when they come home with a certain friend of mine, and they say, "Oh," she said, "look at that girl must have come from Walmart," and she, talking about how the girl was dressed and this and that, and I was furious. I always hated it when she came back from that gal. But I'd have to explain to them that you don't have a right to talk about anybody walking down the street dressed any old way. It doesn't matter. You don't know how they're living. None of you know how anybody's living. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. None of you do, because you don't want to know. That would mean some kind of responsibility. So, if you aren't going to have the responsibility to know what goes on behind closed doors and perhaps be help of some way, then by God, teach your children and your grandchildren that making fun of people and being a bully is not acceptable. Ever. Because you never know when somebody's going to find out that your shit stinks too. Anyway, I don't like bullies, and I don't like making fun of people. So, check yourselves. Because everything that you want and you have been blessed with and given is the right for every soul on the planet. And it doesn't matter how they dress, how they talk, how they act. That's their life this time. That's the life path they chose. They call it a template that they picked for this lifetime. And you picked yours. So only focus on yourself when it comes to bettering things. And the world will take care of itself. And instead of making fun of someone, why don't you try to put a hand out? We're not supposed to give to people because they can give back, or they've been a good buddy or friend or family, whatever. I know that charity starts at home, of course. However, when you're giving to someone, it should be from your heart and not care what they do with it. That after you give them something, it doesn't matter what they do with it, because it was you giving, was your gift. Okay? And that is how the universe sees you, is how you gave freely from your heart. How they choose to spend it or use it or whatever it is, that's up to them, and that's between them and God, not you. It's none of your business, actually. It's none of any of our business except for God's and that person. So maybe be a helping hand instead of derogatory and mean and cruel. And I don't know where they got all these Karens from, and these Karen guys, and this showmanship that they're showing out there is ludicrous. And that kind of behavior is just way out of line. We're in the 21st century, for God's sakes, and we still have problems with seeing people as different. Of course we're different. We're supposed to be different. That's how the world goes round, number one. Number two, it's because that's what we chose for life paths this time. And number three, it's none of our damn business. So keep to your own lane, your own home, your own yard. Don't fuss about what other people's yards look like, and don't fuss about what their homes look like, because you sure don't want to know what goes on behind closed doors in case you needed to help somebody. Let's call it like it is. So keep your nose to yourself, not up in the air, straightforward. Be kind. If you can be nothing else, be kind. And keep to yourself. God doesn't rate us on what we do. He rates us on our heart. That's it. Just your heart. And your faith. But if you got a solid heart, you got good faith. You need to understand that it is a media frenzy. It's a marketing frenzy to make us think that we want or need or should desire all these great, absolutely expensive, cool things. I think they're cool too. There's a lot of things out there I'd love to have. I don't make that kind of money. Do you? No. So am I going to feel bad that I don't have them? No. Nonsense. And because I'm not living in a mansion, although I would love to live in a mansion, I call my home the cabin. My artist cabin. You make life work for you, wherever you're at. You don't get upset or depressed because you aren't where you'd like to be, or that you weren't raised the way you would like to have been raised. Start raising yourself all over again. Love yourself the way you are. And make your life work right where you are. There's nothing wrong with that. Because when it's all said and done, you're going to die alone, just like you were born alone. However, right before your last breath, you might want to have somebody close to you that you've enjoyed your life with and had some fulfillment with. A friend, family, dog, cat, something. And like when you were born, there was someone there to hold you after you were born. So give life a chance. But do it in a really, a happy way of wherever you're at, because you chose this life. Accept it and say, well, I chose it for something. I wonder what the reason was. And you'll get plenty of answers. and you'll see them, and then you'll have something else to go into and do. So love life right where you're at. It's okay. It's okay to love life right where you're at. Don't let anybody ever make you feel bad where you're at. I don't care how piss poor you are. I've been piss poor, and I've been fairly well off. But it doesn't matter. It comes and goes. What matters is the people in your life. What matters is you. How do you feel? Are you okay with your surroundings? Are you getting things to help with, the things that you're really interested in? Maybe less worry about what it all looks like and a little more time and effort in what makes you happy. Anyway, God loves you just the way you are. And you were forgiven your sins the moment you were thought of in Source's mind. The moment you were thought of and the moment you were born as a soul. Your unique little self in a vast, vast universe of other souls. But you were unique. Each one has always been unique. Something new, something different. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but there's always something that's extraordinary in each one of us. Find your extraordinary and then master it. Love and blessings. Lori out. Talk to you next time.